What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about mistakes that tourists make in the UK. Today, we're going to take a look at what people in the UK say are the biggest mistakes that visitors make. And since us Americans pretty much have no idea what we're doing when we travel abroad to other countries, I thought this would actually be a really insightful, helpful Reddit discussion to take a look at. So, the question asked what are common tourist mistakes that visitors to the UK make? And the person asking this said, I live in Italy, and common mistakes that tourists make is to eat at crappy trap restaurants. I could see that happening quite a bit in Italy because people just figure, well, it's Italy, isn't it? We'll just go to any old place. Unfortunately, that's not how Italy works. Does that happen in the UK as well? I could definitely see that happening. American tourists going to the UK, like trying to get some authentic UK food, whatever that is. Maybe just some fish and chips for the first time in our life. And we just go to some old place, but we don't really know what the good places are or the authentic places are, I guess. The locals have their own hidden away places. Often, the more tucked away and unassuming it is, the better it is. Okay. So tourists get suckered into eating at crappy places. Well, he's talking about Italy, but I could see this happening in the UK or really anywhere that you're traveling, honestly. Especially for Americans. I mean, us Americans, a large percentage of us Americans don't even ever travel outside of the United States. Our entire life, maybe. A lot of people here don't even have passports, because the US is so big. A lot of us just travel in the United States, so we don't know what to do with ourselves in the UK. So what about when tourists go to the UK? What are the mistakes that we make? They think they can tour the UK in a week. Go from London to Cornwall, Cornwall to North Wales, drive from North Wales to Inverness, Scotland, back to London in a week. I think this is actually a really, really, really good, really good topic, really good suggestion here because I think it's very true. Actually, I kind of think this. Not anymore, I guess, but I can't deny it. I have like this train of thought where the UK, it is a lot smaller than the United States. A lot smaller. So maybe you could, like, in a week, you could, like, drive around a fair bit of places. Maybe only see it for an hour and then jump in your car and keep going. But how much of the UK could you see in a week? So I think my internal barometer for how much you can see is a little off. So that's why I think this is a really good suggestion here. Don't think that you can tour the entire country in a week. Yeah, because that'd be like thinking you can tour an entire state in the United States or several states in a week. When I think of it that way, that's just silly. So this is actually a good one to like recalibrate my expectations for like how big or just how much stuff is actually in the UK. That's a good one actually. I think a lot of Americans could easily make that mistake where they think, "Oh, UK is a lot smaller. I can just go everywhere. I can see it all. I only need 3 days." Which is not the case at all. That's a good one. That's a good one to remember. Okay. What are other mistakes tourists make in the UK? Thinking they've visited the UK when they've just visited London. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I have done videos like reacting to a lot of different places around the UK. There is so much more to the UK. So many more things than I ever imagined. And I haven't even seen all that much. Like in videos and stuff on YouTube, I haven't even seen all that much, and there's so much more than I thought. For some reason, when Americans think of the UK, we think of England and we think of London. specifically. A lot of Americans are like, okay, it's a bucket list item. At some point in my life, I'm gonna visit the UK. Where do I go? London. Yeah, right. That's it. And it's just like, I feel bad for London. It probably gets like 99% of American tourists. It's like the one place we know in the UK. So this is so true. Thinking they visited the UK when they visited London. London is nice, but it doesn't represent the UK as a whole. Definitely. Most Americans don't even know what comprises the UK. Like a lot of Americans don't even know the UK is England and Scotland and Northern Ireland and Wales. No idea. No idea. So a lot of Americans think that they genuinely have like, oh, I've seen the UK, like just going to London, which is ridiculous, of course. These are good, actually, very good. What's other mistakes tourists make in the UK? Insane travel schedules, which include going to Edinburgh as a day trip from London, then off to Cornwall the next day. It is always the it is always the Americans who are guilty of trying to cram too much distance into a very short trip. Well, some of that is probably because a lot of us Americans kind of know, like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Like we're taking a leap of faith. We're leaving America for the first time, going to the UK, and we're probably not coming back. This is like, we don't travel outside the US all that much. A lot of people don't. So maybe Americans just try to cram in as much as possible and make the mistake of thinking that that is doable. Or that, yeah, I really think Americans try to cram in as much as possible because they know they're not going to be traveling to Europe again anytime soon, or maybe never again. Maybe once in your life is considered like pretty normal, I think, for a lot of Americans who want to travel to Europe. It's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing, really. Like, sort of, and you have to like figure out, okay, am I going to try to do this like in between school? Do I have to do it before I have kids? Do I like if I have a family and kids and wife and a job, am I going to be able to do I have to wait till I retire and then maybe I'll go to Europe? So it's really actually quite a big deal. Big deal. And I'm actually very jealous of the UK because, from what I understand, for people in the UK, you can just travel to other places around Europe and it's not that big of a deal. It's pretty doable. Whereas here in America, it's a very big deal. So I think we give ourselves insane travel schedules for that reason, and because we don't understand the size of the UK. So here you'd be going from Edinburgh to London to Cornwall. Is this technically doable though? Like, isn't it true that you can drive between those places in like a couple hours, or am I just completely off? Is it technically doable? That's all I'm asking. Can we attempt our insane schedules where we go between cities, we look around for about 6 minutes, and then drive off? Would that make it possible? Maybe. Okay. What other mistakes tourists make in the UK? This is very good so far. Very practical. A lot about how tourists should give more time to see more parts of the UK. That's been quite a few comments so far. Standing on the left side on escalators. You want to stand on the right and leave the left side free for those who walk. This is supposed to be how we do it in the America. It's supposed to be. I say supposed to because it doesn't always happen. Americans know this is the protocol. So it's the same in the UK. If you're on an escalator, stand on the right so people can walk by on the left. Good luck in America. You got like a 50-50 shot of people actually following this rule or queuing properly or waiting in line properly. It's kind of a mess. What other mistakes? Thinking that they can visit Edinburgh, Manchester, London, and Bath in 1 week. Again, apparently, this is a very good one. This is one that's getting brought up time and time and time again. I'm kind of curious, like, I kind of want to look at a map now. This is getting brought up quite a bit. If I pull up a map and I do Edinburgh to Manchester, and I go to maps here, how long would this take? Let's put this to the test. I actually want to see how long this would take according to maps. Not by bus. Public transportation. Americans have never heard of the word. By car, oh, it's 4 hours. Oh boy, I was way off. It's not just a couple of hours. Oh my gosh, I was way off. Oh man. Oh, let's keep going. Let's add London. Let's add a destination. Let's add London. What happens then? 8 hours. Okay, so it's like Manchester to Edinburgh, 4 hours. Then Edinburgh back to, all the way back down to London would be like 8 more hours, right? 4 then 8? Anyway, and then if I type in Bath, let's just type in Bath just to complete this. If you did want to complete this crazy tour of the UK, you could technically do it in 10 hours, I'm saying. If you just look out the window and take a look around and keep driving, you can do it in 10 hours. I think this is technically possible. If you chop this up and drive like 3-4 hours a day, I feel like you could kind of make this happen. You just would barely have any time to get to see the city or anything else. Thinking they can visit Edinburgh, Manchester, London, and Bath on a 1-week trip, I think you technically can. The quality of that trip is highly questionable. But there we go. Eating on Oxford Street and then complaining about the food. This is some kind of UK inside joke that I don't know about. Poor Oxford Street. Does it have bad food? I don't know. I can't comment on that, but I'll try to remember. If I eat there, don't complain about the food. Oh, God. Trusting public transport outside of a major city. Oh, really? Because I've heard very good things about public transportation in the UK. Here in the United States, public transportation is pretty terrible, pretty non-existent. The United States is built with the idea that you have a car. It's built with the assumption you own a car. If you're in some major big cities, you can make buses work, or if they have like a metro or subway, you can make it work. But I always had a very high opinion of public transport in the UK being quite a bit better than in America. But this is interesting. You shouldn't trust it as much outside major cities, which is kind of how it's like here in America, honestly. So that's interesting. I had not heard that before. Using a black cab. I think they're talking about the black cabs in London, which, is it because they're expensive? Because those are like iconic, the black cabs, because we have yellow, we call them taxis, really. Yellow taxis or cabs here in America. There's these black cabs in London, and I think people say don't use them because they're very expensive compared to using public transport, or even like renting a bike, or taking an Uber would probably be less expensive. I don't know. Okay, what else? If in London and you're not visiting the museums, if you're in London, not visiting museums. So you should visit museums in London. Thinking that you need an Oyster card, and always getting the tube when a bus or walking is quicker. Okay, let me break this down. Museums are good. Okay, that makes sense. You don't need an Oyster card? So a mistake you make in the UK would be assuming you need an Oyster card. That's for like public transportation though, right? If you don't have an Oyster card, what would you do? I'm a little confused. I did think you need an Oyster card. Huh. Always taking the tube when you should take the bus or just walk. That's a good one. Because the tube is something I hear about all the time in relationship to London and London transportation. But that might, predispose an American like myself to not even think about, a more normal option, like more convenient even, just a bus. Or walk. God, walk. Believe me, walking is not on our minds when we travel places. That would be quite an adjustment. Walking places. People do that? Jeez. Drinking in chain pubs. Okay, like a pub. We don't have pubs here in the United States. So this is also another one I wouldn't have thought about. Like a pub, so you don't want to go to like a chain or like a branded pub that there's multiple of. Like a corporate pub or something. You want to go to a unique, like mom and pop owned, like pub that there's just one of in the community because it's more authentic or more genuine and more unique, that kind of thing. That's good advice. Actually, that's good. It'd probably be a much more authentic experience, huh? Okay, very good. I gotta say, I'm very pleased with these tips so far. These are great. I think these are absolutely mistakes that Americans and other tourists from around the world would make while visiting the UK. So this is actually extremely helpful so far. What are some other mistakes tourists should try not to make in the UK? It's exactly the same in London. Tourists complain about the food in what is one of the greatest restaurant capitals in the world. Then you find that they have been eating microwaved crap at tourist pubs and international chains. This is great advice. Oh, that would really be sad if your trip, again, your once in a lifetime trip to the UK, you spend it eating microwaved crap or whatever they feed you at these like tourist trap restaurants or touristy pubs and restaurants. You actually want to take some time, devote some time to learning about some authentic, like smaller but locally well-known places wherever you are in the UK, be that London or whatever city you're visiting. Which I assume you could look up a lot of that on the internet with a little bit of effort. Wow, this is fantastic. I totally see a lot of Americans would go to the UK, just go to the first place they see, and it's going to be the one that's designed to like be a tourist trap, make them think it's an authentic experience. All right, what else do we have? Going to the Angus Steakhouse. The Angus Steakhouse? Don't go to the Angus Steakhouse. Eat literally anywhere other than this. No matter how cranky or hungry you are. What is the Angus Steakhouse? Angus Steakhouse, is that like a British restaurant chain? Oh, yep. Look at this. Let me zoom in on this. That's exactly what it is. It's a casual dining chain of steakhouses in central London. The name comes from Aberdeen Angus, breed of beef cattle. Angus Steakhouse. It's a chain of steakhouses in London. Don't go to Angus Steakhouse. Thank you. Thank you for the warning. I'm kind of curious now, like, what's wrong with it? Do not go there, no matter how hungry you are. That's funny. Okay, these are the tips. These are the obscure tips that I come here for. A mistake would be never leaving London. Seems to be common. Maybe a day trip to Oxford or Cambridge to pretend to be Harry Potter. Out of interest, are Google ratings of restaurants in the back streets of Italy accurate? Oh, this person's talking about the original question, which was someone living in Italy. So they were like, by the way, are the Google accurate for Italian restaurants? I assume you could use Google to find like good UK restaurants wherever you are. I hope that's true as well. But there you go. I think that's a good place to stop off. This was very, very helpful, actually. Very good discussion with a lot of people from the UK like chiming in and giving like pretty useful advice about mistakes to avoid. I think the biggest ones were like make ample time to visit like many parts of the UK if you're looking for a genuine experience. And actually take time to make sure you're not falling for tourist traps. Try to see more than just London. And yeah, stuff like that. Very good advice, I think. Stuff that I think a lot of Americans definitely do, unfortunately. But not me. Not me, because I have learned from this. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with your advice on mistakes that tourists make in the UK. That'd be fantastic. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and UK culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.